to me, I feel like our nuts dropped. Like we let the whole league bully us last year. We didn't know what they didn't know what they were doing. They did what they wanted. They bullied us, and we had enough of that shit. You know what I mean?
25 lighters on the dresser, bad bitch Vanessa, yes or no key, just pressing, my lane is reckless, or strong, they can feel the presence, wheel and deal, they can feel the pressure, fashion over bay like the dresser, got some issues, I wouldn't press it, y'all crash dummy shit, don't impress it.
What we got? We got Rockets and Spurs tonight. I'm about sick of playing them though.
Yeah, it feels, it's not like old times where
well, it's not like that. It's like they're never good games. Either they blow us out, we blow them out. They blow us out, we blow. It's like, will both of y'all show up to play for once? Fuck.
Yeah. I was kind of hyped, like, yeah. Then I remember the last two games. I'm like, no, never mind.
I'm thoroughly pleased with how the Rockets are playing, though. I mean, even like the Miami game we lost, they went up by like 15. We caught up.
I mean, they've been getting praise from a lot of, I guess, older veterans like Jimmy Butler, and you have different players and coaches that are coming out talking about how they're growing faster and they're looking more like a rebuild team that's on the rise compared to a rebuild team that doesn't know where they're at. And, I mean, a lot of it plays a part of the Jalen Green over Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham has an injury, out for the season. Jalen Green looks like he's taking even bigger steps now than last year to be a superstar and the face of the franchise, honestly. Like, you see him everywhere now.
It very much so is. Like, he's not – I don't think there's anybody in the league you could put in front of him and he's intimidated by.
Yeah.
Like, he's going after everybody. I mean, he makes dumb mistakes every once in a while. I wish he would shoot more mid-range and go to the basket a little more, but when he's hot, we don't bitch about it, so it is what it is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he's making it, I mean, we saw him come in this year and he looks stockier, and then you see his, I guess, swagger that he's carrying himself with. He knows this year, like, okay, I'm the guy. Last year was kind of, we've talked about the seesaw effect, where some games they would baby him and then they're, okay, go out there. And this year it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit different where they're still playing, I guess, not team ball, where they're just going out there and just shooting and ISO and everything. But he's kind of finding his own within when to pass it, when to shoot it, when to take over, when not to take over. And I mean, he's still making those mistakes, but he's only what, 20?
Well, that's the thing, is like he's learning. We don't have a true point on our team other than Ty, and he just now started playing. But there's times when Jalen goes to the basket and Kevin Porter goes to the basket, and you can tell that they're looking to facilitate. And on those days when you have your bigs like Sengun and Jabari, they're moving to the open spaces. KJ's going up and they're getting those buckets. It's like those are the easy buckets that we are needing to win these games, and that's why we're winning games now. So I kind of like that. But also it's like there's also times where you look at him do that, meaning Jalen and Porter, when they're not entirely sure if they should be aggressive or facilitate. And I harp back on the James Harden when there was times where he's just looking to throw the alley, and it's like, bro, like they gave you the layup. Just take the layup, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that in time that'll get cleaned up, but I have no complaints. I expect them to make mistakes. I embrace it almost, because they don't make the same mistakes repeatedly. And that's I attribute that to coaching. As much as we all talk about we need new coaching, there are things like that you have to attribute to Silas and Lucas. And when you watch as much Rockets basketball as we do, you notice it.
Yeah, you can tell as the year started, it was more of a like, oh, here we go again. And then as you've seen them play throughout the season, the Golden State games, and just going up against top tier teams that have talent, veterans, and coaching, and they're holding their own until the very end, which you see in young teams. I mean, a lot of young teams, they always say they go for the call, they go for the flashiness, whereas we've talked about it. You'll see like Draymond Green throw a ball off of like a player's foot just to get that extra
Mhm.
possession type of play. I mean, and it comes with, we're arguably one of the youngest teams in the NBA right now. And I mean, we're never going to get the respect, even if we were the first team, like we've seen, we'll never get the respect that we do deserve. And I'm fine with it at this point. Like the players that we got, you look at Jalen Green, Cade in that draft. And then you look at, I mean, nobody talks about Shingun, sadly, and it's kind of
Mhm.
weird. Like, he gets praise from, I mean, the MVP himself, but you look at the MVP of Joker, and nobody gives him praise either.
Nope.
So
But
I'm
dude
kind
had a
of,
monster. He put up 40 and 27 last night, and you didn't. Nobody was talking about it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like, what can you? What do you have to do to get the praise? Do you have to sell $100 million worth of shoes? Do you have to have a highlight dunk every night? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because like if you look at our stat sheets, you repeatedly see 5, 6, 7 players 12, 14, 16, 17, opposed to like that one player with 35. You know what I mean? I'd rather take the team scoring and do it that way. And that's why I'm kind of giddy and happy in the direction we're going, because it's like, okay, there's team unity there. You know what I mean? Because like, for instance, the other day they passed the ball to out of the post to Kevin Martin, and he passed it into a contested player. And immediately as soon as he did it, he said, I fucked up. I should have shot that. I know like he's like, I put y'all in a position to fail because I fucked up. And that's dope to me, because you don't
yeah,
see that too often.
yeah. You look at some teams, I mean, and they don't take accountability at all. And from them being a young team, and I mean, like we said, it goes to coaching where they hold them accountable. And you kind of saw it, I guess, with Kevin Porter when he first came over here. How like John Lucas has been able to get those knucklehead players
Mm-hmm.
to kind of hone down and do their skill set. But you see it with a lot of the young guys where they hold themselves accountable now on this team because they know the talent that's around them. They know what they can do. Now it's just building on it and growing their game. I mean, speaking of Kevin Porter, like we've talked about it before of him maybe moving to the sixth spot at some point and all that. But I do have to applaud him for taking that step of maturity, I guess, and realizing the opportunity he has because he gets praise. I mean, from he gets praise from Dejounte, he gets praise from a lot of NBA players that know his game. It was just getting the mental side of the. I mean, and we all understand the NBA. Nobody talks about the life of an NBA superstar or NBA player at that. You
Mm-hmm.
got guys retiring. I know there was a guy in Dallas that's like 22 or something, just retired.
Yeah.
He was like, I couldn't deal with the life of it. Like,
That's the thing. There's a lot of stresses go in. Everybody has something to say about everything you do, good or
yeah,
bad, you know? And then like you have people in our own city who trash talk you. Like Kevin Porter is one of the most talked about people on the team, because people truly love him or hate him, because the traditionalists of basketball, they look at the team and like, oh, he's the problem. We need a real point guard. And it's like, first off, you got the dude for absolutely nothing.
yeah,
Two, what the hell are you going to get to replace him? Because this dude, if he decides that on any given day, he's like, fuck this team, I'm going to go do me, he could put up 50. I've seen him do it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So, like, you have to come into an agreement with him to where he's happy with his role and still keep him. You know what I mean? Even if it doesn't necessarily mean to start. And by that, I mean, it's like, okay, so say we ask you to go to the bench, but you keep the same amount of minutes. I'm not going to draft another point guard to come replace you. I would be more content with bringing in a veteran who can calm the young boys down, run pick and roll offense, and do that kind of thing. And I think by doing that, you will have an easier time to get Kevin Porter to accept that bench role.
yeah.
And it
And
always reverts back to, it's not who starts, who's finished. He's going to be on the court. Let's just keep it honest. Is he's the dog on the team? Like we got the goon squad, but he's the one with the balls. Shit pop off with the Rockets, he's front and center.
yeah, he's that guy. I mean, you look at how close him and Jalen got, and you can tell why. Like it's kind of like a big brother, little brother type of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of good. I mean, of course, Jalen's always had Josh Christopher right there since they both were drafted. But to see Kevin Porter, basically, we'll always go back to that Atlanta game where I, I mean, we've called them the Goon Squad, but to see them actually go out there and just be like, "Hey, yo, like you ain't gonna fuck with us," type shit.
As
Like,
unprofessional as it is, and we probably shouldn't like praise it. The fact that those two were willing to get on all social media platforms after the fact and be like, "No, this shit ain't over. Trey, I'll beat your goof ass." You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we don't condone that, but tell that fool, let them know what's up.
And it's I feel like in the NBA the rivalries are, I don't want to say they're coming back fully, but you see other teams with it. I mean, you saw the Phoenix and Pelicans going at it a bit. You see a few teams where, I mean, shit, Lakers, Boston, they don't like each other for shit still. Um, and it's funny because you see to me that would be a funny rivalry of seeing Kevin Porter, Jalen Green versus Trey Young and DeJounte Murray.
Yep.
Two and two. And I mean, there's ties already with the Capella. There's ties with Houston, Atlanta. Like it feels right. It feels good for us, and it wakes them up a bit. I mean, last year we kind of were, I don't want to say lackluster, but it felt like the season just came and went.
To me, I feel like our nuts dropped. Like we let the whole league bully us last year. We didn't know what they were doing. They did what they wanted. They bullied us, and we had enough of that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I know we're still maybe a season, maybe even possibly two away from it, but just think about what's going on with the Pelicans and the Suns right now. Like, the Suns come in and they think that, oh, we got Chris Paul, we got this, we've been in the finals, and the Pelicans were like, and? You think we give a shit? Like, you have to beat us, bro. And the attitude that the Pelicans have is what I strive for the Rockets, in my opinion. They're gritty, they're grimy, they're hoopers. They're all for one. Like, it's a team, it's unity. Alvarado could be the most pest motherfucker in the world, but it doesn't matter. If you pick on that little dude, then everybody on the Pelicans jerseys with him. And it's the same. Like, oh, you don't like how Tari does that? Say something. We got it. You know what I mean? I love that shit.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Kevin Porter, Jalen Green, Tari Eason, Ty has a little dog in him. You saw him in the G League just going at
KJ.
Yeah.
Sengun. Like, I also want to commend Stone. Like, I don't think that Bruno is necessarily the answer to that position, but that kind of player helps our team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that above the rim dude. If he gets that bitch, he's going to punch it through the rim in everybody's face. Like, it's obvious to us we need that kind of player, and Bruno showed us that. And I commend Stone for finding that.
I mean, it's funny because a lot of the talk in the city is, of course, Astros and then Texans. And nobody gives praise to what Stone did. I mean, when Bruno got signed, I remember I posted on our Facebook and people were like, who the hell is this guy? Like, why are we signing bums, this and that? And it's one of those things where I feel like, especially in basketball, there's so many like players that are no names or that aren't big names, and they go and they produce on teams because, like we said, it's a team sport. I mean, he's doing what needs to be done, and we've seen it in players like Chuck Hayes and Carl Landry, and I mean, they go out there and do what the team needs, and the city ends up loving you. I don't think Bruno's going to get to that level of play, but I mean, he's doing what coaches want him to do. He's doing what the team needs, and I mean, you can't fault it because you're not going to get the glory of, being the player of the game, but when all that matters is your team notices, your coaches notice, and some of us fans, of course, that are going to notice it.
Right.
But you're easily on a, I guess, quote unquote, star-studded roster of youngsters. Eric Gordon.
I have a sneaky suspicion, though, a lot of people in our city are about to jump on that bandwagon of the Rockets. So we played Portland 2 days ago, and in all honesty, they fucked us up. Like, we just didn't show up prepared. They did. Then we just couldn't score with them on that night. But there was a lot more fans in that arena than I've seen in a long time, and they stayed. So I noticed that, and I was like, okay, they're taking notice. We're doing something right.
Yeah, I guess finally they stopped going to the Texans games, and they were like, hey, we need something new to do. But that, or they can't find tickets to the U of H games. But I mean, all in all, if you're not watching the Rockets right now, you're just missing fun basketball. Like there's as weird as it was, I felt like last year, even without the Rockets, I felt like it was very bleh, like a season was just boring and
It just seemed like it's like, will this day be over already? Like, come on, fucking baseball.
and then this year it's been, I mean, you have a few teams and including us. I mean, you have teams that you didn't expect to do good. And it's sadly as it is, I mean, we're not a small market, we're a big market. We just don't get the credibility because I think New York and LA hate us, which is fine.
It
But
is fun.
it's just funny because you can cherish these games and see you can literally watch Jalen Green grow right in front of your eyes right now.
That's the thing, bro, is we were really competitive for a lot of years with Harden and that regime, right? Like we were the kind of the biggest threat to the dynasty that is the Golden State Warriors. And it was always like, can Houston beat them this year? It was never nobody else. It was Houston. And then overnight, we stripped that shit butt naked. And people don't know how to take the rebuild and the growth and how to get back to that level. It's just like breaking up with a hoe and then getting a new girlfriend who don't know how to do nothing. And you just like, you have to wait for her to learn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
She's
all
better.
that is.
She's
it's better for me in the long run to not mess with that hoe and stick it out because like you said, Jabari's 19. This dude's 20. Nobody on our team who has any significant meaning is over 23. So, I mean, what do you expect?
I mean, you look at trade pieces. We've talked about it past few weeks. Eric Gordon's getting traded somewhere.
I need a first round pick for him. I don't give a fuck if it's the last one in the first round. I need a first round pick because 2024, 2026, OKC has our pick.
Yeah.
So we only have Brooklyn's. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they might be pretty good. So you're looking at 2 years where picking is not necessarily going to be your strong suit. So if you could get a pick there, maybe if you need a player at that given time, you could trade 2 for 1 to move up. But other than a first round pick, I don't really want to bring in more developmental talent. I really don't.
Yeah, the only like we talked about it, I think James Wiseman was the only thing that I could warrant of young talent coming in, helping a Golden State Warriors team, give Eric Gordon the nod, hey, go and try to get a ring, and you bring in a young player that they really don't need, that you can kind of see what develops, and there's no.
I would straight up give them Eric Gordon and Jayshawn Tate for Wiseman.
And that would be, honestly, I think that would help both teams out. You get Wiseman moved, you get him more playing time, see what he can do, and you give them 2 players. I mean, Jayshawn Tate is a dog out there. I can imagine defense with him and Green, and then
that role is set up for Jayshawn on that team because he could look at Draymond and say, everything you do is kind of what I do anyway. Yeah. So then I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean? And then Eric Gordon there, he's there to shoot. So you don't have to worry about DiVincenzo. Like that you're correct. Like we both benefit from that because we dump money. We get a developmental player who is really big. And I think that Wiseman is a really good player. So I'll do that if they're down.
Yeah. I mean, we got to be realistic with trades because I've been seeing some trades where it's just like, I'm like, guys, we're not going to go get the Joker from Denver, like for Eric Gordon, like stop. Like, I don't know.
But I don't really want him. You know what I mean?
It's you don't, I don't want to mess the timeline up.
Exactly.
It's gradually going this way. You let it, and we've talked about the timeline of the NBA. You see it. The Lakers, this is, unless they make some miraculous blow up trade, they're pretty much down in the dumps. Dallas doesn't know what they're doing with one superstar. Memphis is trying to break that ceiling, but they're just there with Ja. And can he play that way all throughout the playoffs when the defense holds down a little bit more? Golden State, they've been flowing off and on. Now we're saying they need trades because they're kind of faltering. Denver, can the big 3 stay healthy? I mean, the West is, it's still hard, but it's opening up as you see it with teams.
Big time.
I mean, you see,
that's why I praise the Pelicans because that team is built the right way. Yeah. Like that, if they could keep a majority of those guys, and you think about it, bro. Aside from the big 3 on the Pelicans, all those dudes are first, second, third year players, so they have a lot of time with them, you know. And that's kind of what I want to do. And we've been harping on it since the beginning of the season. If we're going to bring in a player, it needs to be a vet to do for us what CJ did for the Pelicans.
Yeah.
We need that kind of player. Other than that, we're just going to run with what we got. which makes me excited because like I'm not so gung ho about Victor in the draft, but if we could get one of the Thompson twins, it'd be the perfect fit. It'd be like bringing Mikal Bridges to our team, you know?
That would be sick.
It would.
I mean, all eyes are on, we know, Victor Wembanyama, but I think for us, whoever we get is a talent that you're going to add to a young core.
How much I'm working for this? I swear my dreams are too important.